About 400 million years ago, one fish crawled onto land. And that single, ridiculous decision is why you have to wake up on Monday mornings. Welcome to Ever Wondered, the channel where we take the strangest true stories the universe has ever pulled off and make absolutely sure you can't stop thinking about them. And today's story starts underwater, with a fish who made a choice that none of us asked for. Let's set the scene. 400 million years ago, Earth looked nothing like it does today. No forests, no cities, no alarm clocks. Just shallow seas, a few patches of land covered in primitive plants, and an ocean absolutely packed with life. Fish had been running things for millions of years. And by all accounts, the ocean was working just fine. Plenty of food, plenty of space. So naturally, one of them decided to leave. The fish in question is called Tiktaalik. And before you picture some majestic, dramatic creature heroically pulling itself onto shore, it was weird looking. Flat head, stubby, arm-like fins, eyes on top of its skull like it was always suspicious of something above it. But here's what made Tiktaalik different from every other fish in the ocean. Its fins had bones. Actual bones. Arranged almost like a primitive arm and wrist. Which means when it dragged itself through shallow water, or pulled up onto muddy riverbanks, it could prop itself up. It could lift its head. It could look around. 400 million years ago, a fish looked around for the very first time. And apparently, it liked what it saw. Now here's where it gets interesting. Tiktaalik probably wasn't trying to conquer land. It wasn't ambitious. It wasn't brave. It was just trying to eat. The shallow waters where it lived were crowded, competitive, full of things that also wanted to eat Tiktaalik. But the land was empty. No predators, no competition. Just bugs and plants sitting there, completely unguarded. So Tiktaalik did what any reasonable creature would do when it spots an untouched buffet. It went in. And this is the part that should genuinely stop you for a second. That moment, one fish, pulling itself onto mud, wasn't just a weird Tuesday afternoon in prehistoric history. It was the starting gun for everything. Every reptile, every dinosaur, every bird, every mammal, every single land animal that has ever existed on this planet traces its origin back to that one moment. One fish, one decision, 400 million years of consequences. But here's something nobody talks about enough. Getting onto land was only half the problem. Staying there was a completely different nightmare. Fish breathe through gills. Gills need water. Land has no water. So the descendants of Tiktaalik had to figure out lungs, real lungs, not just the primitive air bladders some fish already had. Their fins had to become legs. Actual weight-bearing legs that could push a body across solid ground without collapsing. Their skin had to stop drying out instantly under open air. Every single system in the body had to renegotiate with a completely new environment. And evolution doesn't do this quickly. We're talking millions of years of trial and error. Mostly error. The animals that couldn't adapt, gone. The ones that could, they kept going, kept changing, kept surviving. Now here's where the story really takes off, because once life figured out land, it didn't stop. The first land animals were small, clumsy, still dependent on water for reproduction. But give evolution enough time and enough pressure, and it starts doing things that seem completely unreasonable. Reptiles showed up. Then they figured out how to lay eggs on dry land, which sounds minor until you realize it completely cut the last cord connecting life to the water. No more returning to ponds to reproduce. Land was home now. Full commitment. Then came the dinosaurs. Then, after the dinosaurs got spectacularly wiped out, the mammals took over. Small, warm-blooded, adaptable. Running around in the wreckage of a post-asteroid world going, okay. Our turn. And here's the callback that should make your brain short-circuit a little. Those mammals. Some of them eventually became primates. Primates became early humans. Early humans discovered fire, built cities, invented agriculture, created language, wrote poetry, composed symphonies, went to the moon, and scheduled Monday morning meetings. All because one fish in a shallow prehistoric river decided the mud on the other side looked interesting. But let's slow down for a second, because there's something quietly incredible buried in all of this. Tiktaalik had no idea what it was doing. It wasn't thinking about the future. It wasn't making a sacrifice. It was just hungry, just trying to survive one more day in a competitive world. And that's actually how almost every major leap in the history of life has worked. Not grand decisions, not dramatic turning points. Just millions of small, desperate, ordinary moments, stacked on top of each other, until something completely new exists. One fish goes a little further onto shore. One mammal climbs a little higher into the trees. One primate picks up a rock and realizes it can be useful. Nobody planned any of it. It just kept going. Which means the entire human story, every civilization, every invention, every Monday morning you've ever suffered through, is really just the latest chapter in a story that started in the mud. 400 million years ago, with a fish who was just trying to find lunch. And somehow, that fish's great times a billion grandchildren ended up building skyscrapers, writing novels, and stressing out about emails at 9 a.m. Evolution spent 400 million years on this project, and we invented the calendar. That's it for today. If your brain is still going good, that's exactly the point. Drop a comment below with something you want ever wondered to dig into next. And if you haven't subscribed yet, you really should. We'll see you in the next one.